Welcome, chosen ones, to this transformative journey. If you've ever felt like you're waiting for something bigger to happen in your life, then you're exactly where you need to be. In today's video, we're diving deep into divine timing, spiritual breakthroughs, and the incredible transformation that awaits you. The universe has aligned this moment for you right now, and everything you've been praying for is closer than you think. So, if you're ready to step into your divine purpose, to unlock the mysteries of your true potential, then make sure you stay with us through the entire video. It's not by accident that you're here. God's plan for your life is unfolding now, and you're about to witness miracles. Chosen one, I want you to take a deep breath right now and pause for a moment. The noise, the rush, the distractions, let them fade into the background. This moment is sacred. It's not an accident that you're here, reading these words, hearing this message. God has something important to say to you, something only you were meant to hear. Heaven has been working behind the scenes on your behalf, even in the silence. I know it hasn't been easy. Maybe you've felt alone, abandoned, even forgotten. But I'm here to tell you that's not the truth. You have not been overlooked. You have not been ignored. Heaven has been moving in the quiet, in the stillness, shaping you, preparing you for what is to come. Do you remember those nights when it felt like everything was at a standstill? The prayers you whispered that seemed to hit the ceiling and fall flat. The times you waited for answers, for direction, for something that would make sense of the confusion swirling around you. It's easy to feel like God has gone silent during those times. Like he's distant. Like he's forgotten about you. But let me tell you something. The silence you've been experiencing is not abandonment. It's preparation. It's in the silence that God is working in ways you can't see yet. You're being refined. You're being shaped and molded into the person you need to become in order to step into your calling. Every unanswered prayer, every moment of waiting, is part of a divine process, a process that is necessary for the next season of your life. The quiet is not God's way of ignoring you. It's His way of refining you. Think about gold. It doesn't become pure and beautiful without going through a refining process. The gold is placed in the fire, and the heat purges the impurities, leaving behind something precious and valuable. In the same way, God has been placing you in a furnace not to destroy you, but to purify you. Every struggle, every trial, every moment of doubt and uncertainty is part of that purification. God is burning away what doesn't belong. He's clearing out the things that would have held you back, the distractions, the doubts, the fear. He's making room for something greater in your life. Maybe you're wondering, why all the waiting? Why does it feel like things aren't moving forward? It's because God is doing something in you before He can do something through you. It's the quiet, the stillness, that's preparing you for the blessings that are coming. If He gave you everything you're asking for right now, you wouldn't be ready for it. But don't worry, this waiting time is not wasted. God is building endurance in you, strengthening your faith, and teaching you to trust Him even when you don't understand what's happening. There's a verse in Isaiah 40-31 that says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." This is the promise for you, chosen one. If you keep trusting, keep waiting with faith, your strength will be renewed. You will rise up on wings like eagles. You won't grow weary because God is strengthening you in the silence. And here's something important to understand. The waiting isn't just about you receiving what you've been asking for. It's about preparing you to handle the blessing, to walk in your calling, to be a vessel for God's purpose in your life. If you step into your destiny before you're ready, it could overwhelm you. But when you allow God to work in the quiet, when you allow Him to refine you and build your faith, you'll be ready for the great things He has in store for you. You won't be overwhelmed by the blessing. You'll be able to carry it with grace, with strength, and with purpose. I know it's hard right now. I know the waiting feels long, and the silence seems deafening. But I want you to understand something. God hasn't forgotten about you. He hasn't abandoned you. He's working in ways you can't see. He's preparing you, and if you look closely, you'll see the evidence. You'll see how you've grown, how your faith has deepened, how your trust in God has been strengthened. Even in the silence, you've been moving forward. Even in the stillness, God has been working. It's not easy, but you are being made ready for something greater. The waiting will soon be over, and when it is, you'll step into a new season, one that will be more amazing than you ever imagined. But right now, trust the process. Trust the silence. Trust that God is working on your behalf. The silence you've endured, chosen one, has not been wasted. Every moment of waiting, every moment where you felt forgotten or overlooked, has been a sacred time of preparation. Heaven has been at work behind the scenes, orchestrating things you can't yet see, setting the stage for the divine breakthrough that's coming. But the truth is, you may not even fully recognize what you've been through until you're on the other side. You see, you've been in a process, a spiritual refining, a molding that has been essential to what's next. I want you to think for a moment about the quiet times in your life. The times when everything seemed to slow down, when you couldn't see where you were headed, when your prayers felt like they were just bouncing off the walls. It's easy to feel frustrated in those times. It's easy to question why God would allow you to go through such a long period of waiting, of uncertainty. But I'm here to tell you that there's purpose in every moment of waiting. God is not wasting your time. He's using the silence to prepare you for something greater. The process is often painful. You may have found yourself crying out to God in those quiet moments, asking why the answers aren't coming. You've likely questioned whether you're doing something wrong, whether you've missed the mark somehow. But I want you to understand that your pain, your frustration, your waiting, it's not punishment, it's purification. It's not rejection, it's realignment. Do you remember the times when you were tempted to give up? When the struggle felt too heavy, and the weight of unanswered prayers threatened to crush your spirit? I know what it feels like to want to just throw in the towel. But that's the moment, chosen one, when God is working in you the most. That's the furnace of purification, the moment when your faith is being tested, refined, and made stronger. Think about the story of Joseph. Joseph had dreams, big dreams, but his journey to those dreams was anything but easy. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. It seemed like everything in his life was falling apart. But even in the darkest moments, God was at work. He was using every hardship to prepare Joseph for the greatness that was ahead. Joseph couldn't see it at the time, but God was laying the foundation for his destiny, one painful step at a time. And when the time was right, God elevated Joseph to a position of power, one that allowed him to fulfill the very dreams God had given him. Joseph's story is a reminder to you, chosen one. Just because you can't see the end doesn't mean God isn't working. Just because the road ahead seems unclear doesn't mean God has forgotten about you. God's timing is perfect. His plans for your life are far greater than you can imagine. And right now, in this season of waiting, He's getting you ready for what's next. There's a verse in 1 Peter 1:6-7 that says, "In all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes, even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed." Your faith, chosen one, is being refined by fire. Just as gold is purified by heat, so too is your faith purified through the trials and the waiting. Every moment of discomfort, every tear, every moment of doubt, it's part of the process. And in the end, your faith will emerge stronger, purer, and more beautiful than ever before. The silence you've been enduring has been a refining fire. It's been a time for God to work out the impurities, the distractions, the fears that could hold you back from stepping into your destiny. It's been a time of purging, of getting rid of anything that isn't in alignment with God's perfect plan for your life. And while it may have felt painful, while it may have felt like you were being broken, the truth is that you were being remade. You were being reshaped. You were being prepared for the next season, the one that will bring forth the blessings you've been praying for. In the silence, God has been building your strength. He's been teaching you endurance. He's been teaching you to rely on Him and not on your own strength. And as you've learned to trust Him in the quiet, as you've learned to wait with faith, you've built a foundation that will carry you through whatever comes next. You are being prepared for something greater than you can see right now. But the question is, will you trust the process? Will you believe that God is working even when you can't see the evidence? Will you continue to walk by faith, even in the silence? I know it's tempting to look around at others and feel like you're falling behind. It's easy to look at someone else's life and wonder why they're getting the blessings you've been praying for. But God's timing is perfect, and His plans are always better than our own. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. What God is doing in you is unique, and His plan for your life is unlike anyone else's. Your waiting season isn't a sign of failure or delay, it's a sign that God is setting you apart. He's building something in you that will be a blessing not just to you, but to everyone around you. I want you to let that sink in for a moment. God is working in your life in ways you can't yet comprehend. He's preparing you for the blessing that is coming. You may not see it right now, but when the time is right, everything will fall into place. The waiting is not wasted. It's purposeful. It's divine timing. As you sit in the silence, I want you to remember this. God is not finished with you. Your story is not over. The season you're in is not a dead end. It's a detour that's taking you exactly where you need to go. Every moment of waiting, every season of silence, is part of a much bigger picture. And when that picture is revealed, you'll see that it was all worth it. So don't rush through this season, chosen one. Don't try to bypass the process. Trust that God is doing something beautiful in you. Trust that the silence is part of the story. And know that when the time is right, God will open the doors that have been closed, and He will lead you into the next season of your destiny. And when that happens, when you step into the fullness of what God has for you, you will look back on this season and realize that it was all worth it. The pain, the waiting, the silence, it was all part of God's perfect plan for your life. So hold on, chosen one. Keep trusting, keep waiting, because what's coming will be greater than anything you can imagine. And when it comes, you'll know that every moment of silence, every moment of waiting, was worth it. Chosen one. I know you've been questioning if you truly are chosen. Maybe you've doubted whether you are worthy of the calling that's been whispered to your heart. Maybe you've wondered if the struggles you've faced disqualify you, or if the delay in your breakthrough means you've missed your moment. I want to tell you, right now, that you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. Heaven has seen your struggles. It has witnessed your heart's deepest cries. And if you're reading this, it's a sign that you are in the right place, at the right time. You are chosen. But I understand that you may not fully grasp what that means just yet. So, let me share with you some signs that will confirm what your spirit has known all along, signs that will affirm the divine calling on your life. The first sign that you are chosen is that no matter how hard you try to ignore it, your calling keeps calling you back. The pull towards your purpose is relentless. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried to bury it under the noise of life, it keeps surfacing. The dreams you've had, the visions you've seen, they resurface at the most unexpected times. No matter how many distractions or detours you face, the thought of your calling, of your purpose, never truly leaves you. Have you ever had that feeling? Where, even when you tried to walk away from it, whether out of fear, doubt, or confusion, something deep inside you kept drawing you back? That persistent pull is a sign of divine impartation. It's not an obsession. It's a divine nudge from the Creator, guiding you back to where you belong. That is the unmistakable voice of destiny calling you home. I want you to think of Moses. His story is one of the clearest examples of how the call of God never truly fades, no matter how hard we try to run from it. Moses had a past, a painful past filled with mistakes, regrets, and guilt. He tried to escape the call of God, telling himself that he was not worthy of such a grand purpose. But God was relentless. Even in his exile, even when he thought he was far from the purpose God had set for him, God reached out. The call never left Moses. It followed him, led him back, and, ultimately, Moses was used in the most powerful way to lead God's people. You might be thinking, but my past is too messy, my failures too many. I've tried to walk away from my calling so many times. Chosen one, let me remind you, your past doesn't disqualify you. In fact, your past is part of your preparation. God is not looking for perfection, He is looking for obedience. And the fact that this calling, this purpose, keeps calling you, even when you've tried to run, means that you are on the right path. God will never leave you to wander. His call will always bring you back. The more you resist it, the stronger it becomes. So, if you've been feeling that pull again stronger than ever before, it's time to stop running. It's time to listen. God is not going to let you go. The second sign that you are chosen is the opposition you face from people you thought would support you. Now, I want you to be careful here. This doesn't mean that people in your life are against you. In fact, many of them may have the best of intentions. But sometimes, the very people you thought would walk with you may actually unintentionally oppose the calling on your life. Let me explain. When you're walking in your purpose, when you're stepping into what God has destined you to do, you'll often encounter resistance, even from people who seem to have your best interests at heart. And sometimes, this opposition doesn't come from enemies or strangers. It comes from those closest to you. It may be family, friends, or even people you've trusted to support you in your journey. This may feel painful. You might wonder why the people who should understand you the most don't seem to get it. Why, when you share your dreams or your purpose, does it feel like they question you or downplay your calling? Chosen one, this is a sign. When you step into your divine calling, there will be a separation between those who truly align with your purpose and those who don't. Paul experienced this kind of opposition in his ministry. In 2 Timothy 4:16, he writes, "At my first defense, no one came to my support, but everyone deserted me. May it not be held against them." Paul was abandoned by people he thought would stand by him. Yet in the end, it was through that abandonment that Paul was strengthened. He realized that no matter who opposed him, God was with him, and that was all he needed. You see, chosen one, opposition is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's confirmation that you are on the right one. The enemy will try to use the people closest to you to discourage you, to make you doubt your calling. But remember this, the purpose on your life is greater than the opinions of others. God has called you for such a time as this, and no one, not even the people you love, can stop the plan He has for you. If you've been feeling that pushback, don't be discouraged. It's part of the process. When you're walking in your purpose, the opposition you face will refine you. It will strengthen your resolve. And most importantly, it will teach you to depend on God's voice alone. You were not meant to please people. You were meant to walk in obedience to God's plan for your life. Even when you feel exhausted, even when you've been worn down by the trials and struggles that have come your way, there is something inside you that refuses to be snuffed out. It's your light, and no matter how dim it may seem at times, it's still there, burning brightly. You've had moments where you thought, I can't keep going, I just want to give up. I'm too tired, I've fought too many battles. But in the midst of that despair, that weariness, you found a strength rising up within you that you couldn't have summoned on your own. That's the divine light God has placed inside of you. You see, chosen one, God has called you to be a vessel of His light, and no matter how dark the world gets around you, that light cannot be extinguished. It might flicker for a while, it might burn low, but it will never go out. Remember the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? These three young men were thrown into a fiery furnace because of their refusal to bow to idols. The fire was hot, so hot that the soldiers who threw them in were burned by the heat. Yet, when they were in the furnace, something miraculous happened. Not only did they survive the flames, but they emerged from the fire untouched. The fire had no power to destroy them because God was with them in the furnace. Their light didn't just survive the fire, it shone even brighter. This is a picture of your own journey, chosen one. The fires of life may try to consume you, but they will only refine you. They will only bring out the strength and resilience within you that you didn't know you had. And no matter how hard the enemy tries to douse your light, you will shine. Your light may flicker at times, but it will never be fully extinguished. You were made to shine brightly, and the trials of this world can't change that. If you're feeling weary, I want you to remember this. Your light still shines. It is a light that has been placed inside of you by God Himself, and no circumstance can take it away. It will guide you through the darkest of times and will lead others to the truth of God's love. Even in your weakest moments, God's power is made perfect in your weakness, and your light is a testament to His strength. Chosen one, do you ever wonder how you've made it this far? How you've managed to survive the storms, the disappointments, the heartaches, and the challenges you've faced? How you've kept going, even when everything seemed to be falling apart? The answer is simple. It's because you are not doing it on your own. There is a divine strength that is holding you up, even when you feel like you can't stand. You might feel broken, tired, and worn out, but there is a power within you that refuses to quit. This is God's strength working through you. It's not your own strength. It's the strength that comes from the Holy Spirit, who is within you, empowering you to do what you could never do on your own. In 2 Corinthians 12:9-10, the Apostle Paul writes, "But he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong." Paul understood something powerful. His strength didn't come from his own abilities. It came from the grace and power of God. And it's the same for you, chosen one. Your strength is not based on what you can do by yourself. It is found in the God who empowers you to stand when you feel like falling. The fact that you've made it this far, that you've endured all the trials, the struggles, and the disappointments, is proof that God's strength is at work in you. It's not by your might, not by your power, but by His Spirit that you are standing today. And the strength He gives you will continue to carry you through whatever comes next. Every time you feel like you can't go on, remember that God's strength is enough. It's more than enough. It's the strength that raises the dead, the strength that moves mountains, the strength that can carry you through any storm. Your struggles haven't broken you. They've revealed the divine strength that lies within you. One of the clearest signs that you are chosen is the growing desire within you to obey God's will. You may not always understand it. You may not always feel ready for it, but deep inside, you feel this pull to obey, to follow God's direction, even when it doesn't make sense. This desire to walk in obedience is one of the greatest signs that you are chosen, because it's not something that comes from your flesh. It's the work of the Holy Spirit within you. There are times when obedience feels hard, when it feels like the cost is too high. Maybe God is calling you to step out in faith in an area of your life, and you're afraid. You're unsure if you're capable, if you're ready, or if you'll make a mistake. But despite all the fear, despite the uncertainty, you feel that pull to obey, to trust God with your next step. The Bible tells us that God's sheep hear His voice and follow Him. John 10:27. And when you are chosen, you begin to recognize His voice more clearly. It becomes easier to discern His will because your heart is in tune with His. You begin to crave obedience, even when it's uncomfortable. This desire to obey isn't about legalism or following rules. It's about wanting to align your life with God's purpose. It's about seeking to live according to His will, even when it requires sacrifice. The fact that you have this desire in your heart is a clear indication that you are walking in alignment with God's plan for your life. And let me remind you, chosen one, that obedience isn't always easy. Sometimes, it requires stepping out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it requires saying no to things that once seemed appealing. But every time you choose obedience, you are one step closer to fulfilling your divine purpose. The desire to obey, even in the midst of fear or uncertainty, is a sure sign that you are chosen. Chosen one. I know that the road has been long, and sometimes it feels like the weight of your journey is almost too much to bear. The struggles, the disappointments, the moments where everything seemed to crumble, they've tested you in ways you never expected. Yet, through it all, here you are, standing. Maybe you feel weary. Maybe you feel like you've been knocked down more times than you can count. But I want you to hear this truth today. Your resilience is a testimony of divine strength. There's a fire within you, one that has not been consumed, even though you've walked through the flames. You might have felt like giving up at times, wondering how much more you can endure. But even in your exhaustion, there is something in you that refuses to quit. And that is a sign that you are being refined, chosen one. You see, the refining fire is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to purify you. Just as gold is put through the fire to remove its impurities, so too has your spirit been through the heat of trials. The fire reveals what is precious inside you, the strength, the faith, and the resilience that you didn't even know you had. Every moment you've spent in the fire, though painful, has been a moment of growth. In the midst of your struggles, God has been at work. He's been shaping you, molding you, making you into someone who can carry the weight of the destiny He has for you. The fire doesn't burn you to the ground, it refines you. It turns you into someone who is capable of withstanding the pressures of life. Someone who can carry the glory that God is preparing for you. But it's not always easy to see it that way, is it? When you're in the heat of the moment, when everything seems to be falling apart, it's hard to understand the bigger picture. It's easy to get caught up in the pain and the frustration. But I want you to hold on to this truth. Your pain is not pointless. Your struggles are not in vain. Every trial you face is producing something in you, something beautiful, something eternal. Remember the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? They were thrown into a fiery furnace because of their refusal to bow down to an idol. It was a literal fire that they walked into, a fire that seemed like it could consume them. But when they were in the furnace, something miraculous happened. They were not alone. God Himself walked with them in the fire. And not only did the fire not destroy them, but it made them even stronger. The Bible tells us that when they came out of the fire, their clothes didn't even smell like smoke. Their bodies were untouched. And the most beautiful thing is this: the fire didn't consume them. It purified them. It was in that fire that their faith was tested and strengthened. It was in the fire that they proved to the world that they were willing to stand for what they believed, no matter the cost. Now, I want you to look at your own life. Think about the trials you've faced, the fires you've walked through. Maybe you've felt like you were going to be consumed by it all. But I want to remind you, chosen one, that you are not alone in your fire. God is with you. He has been walking beside you every step of the way, even in your darkest moments. The fire you are in right now is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to purify you, to make you stronger, and to reveal the depth of your faith. You may not see it now, but every trial, every struggle has been a part of God's refining process. The pain you've endured, the heartache, the confusion, it has all been a part of His plan to shape you into the person you were always meant to be. And when you come out on the other side, you will be stronger, purer, and more resilient than you ever imagined. There's a resilience that is born in the fire. It's not the kind of resilience that comes from sheer willpower or determination. It's the resilience that comes from knowing that no matter what happens, God is with you. It's the resilience that is built on the foundation of faith. It's the kind of resilience that doesn't just survive the storm, but thrives in it. You've been through battles, chosen one. You've faced moments where it seemed like the odds were stacked against you. You've felt the weight of the world on your shoulders. But I want you to understand something. You've made it through every single one of those moments. You're still standing. And that, in itself, is proof of your resilience. It's proof of God's faithfulness. There's a verse in James 1:2-4 that says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." This verse tells us something powerful. Our trials produce perseverance. The fire you've walked through has produced a strength in you that nothing else could have. It's shaped you, refined you, and made you more resilient than ever before. And the most beautiful part is this, that perseverance is leading to something even greater. It's leading to maturity, to a completeness that will equip you for the calling that God has placed on your life. So, even in the midst of the fire, chosen one, there is joy to be found. There is purpose in the pain. There is growth in the struggle. And on the other side of this, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more equipped for the future that God is preparing for you. The fire has not destroyed you, it has refined you. Chosen one. The fire you've walked through has not only tested your strength, it has purified your heart. The process of purification is rarely pleasant. It's the work of burning away what isn't needed, what can't go with you into the next season of your life. But make no mistake, it is necessary. Without this purification, you would not be able to carry the fullness of what God has planned for you. The impurities would weigh you down, and the blessing He is about to pour into your life would not be able to take root. You see, purification doesn't happen by accident. It's intentional. God is intentional in His love for you, and He is intentional in His process of refining you. He is burning away the things in your life that would hold you back, the things that would distract you from your true purpose. The Bible gives us a beautiful picture of purification in Zechariah 13:9, where it says, "I will bring that group through the fire and make them pure. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold." This verse paints a powerful image of God's refining process. He will bring you through the fire, not to destroy you, but to purify you. He will test you like gold, removing the dross that would hinder you from walking in the fullness of your calling. As painful as it may be, God's refining fire is a blessing. It may not feel like it in the moment, but the fire is doing something in you that will last for eternity. It's preparing you for the work He has called you to do. And when you come out of this season, you will be more than capable of carrying the weight of His glory. You will be a vessel fit for His purpose, able to stand in the fullness of who He created you to be. As you continue to walk through this refining process, I want you to remember something important. The struggle is not your enemy, it is your strength. The struggles you face are the very things that are building your character, your endurance, and your faith. They are forging you into the person you need to become in order to fulfill your calling. You might be wondering, how can my struggles make me stronger? How can this pain be part of God's plan? Let me remind you, chosen one, the strength you are building is not just for yourself, it's for others. You are being prepared not only to carry the blessing God has for you, but also to be a blessing to those around you. There's something incredibly powerful about a person who has been refined by the fire. They have a strength that is unshakable. They have a resilience that comes from knowing that no matter what they face, they can overcome it. They've been tested, and they've come out stronger on the other side. That's the kind of strength God is building in you. I know it's hard to see this when you're in the middle of the struggle. It's hard to understand why you're going through what you're going through, but I want you to trust that God is using every single moment of this process to shape you. He is making you stronger, not by keeping you away from difficulty, but by walking with you through it. Think of Jesus in the wilderness. He was led by the Spirit into the wilderness where he was tempted by the devil for 40 days. Jesus didn't avoid the wilderness. He embraced it, knowing that this time of testing was preparing him for the ministry that lay ahead. When he came out of that wilderness, he was stronger, more focused, and more aligned with God's will. In the same way, your wilderness seasons are not to be feared. They are part of the process of your refinement. You are not alone in the fire. God is with you, walking beside you, strengthening you, teaching you, and preparing you for what's next. The struggle will not last forever, but the strength you gain from it will last for eternity. I know it's tempting to want to escape the fire, to wish for a shortcut out of the struggle. But chosen one, there is power in embracing the process. It's in the fire that you learn to depend on God. It's in the trials that you discover the depths of His grace. It's in the testing that you find the strength to stand, not in your own power, but in His. There is something holy about the struggle. It is in the struggle that you grow. It is in the struggle that your faith is deepened, your patience is tested, and your endurance is strengthened. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to draw closer to God, to rely on Him more fully, and to trust that He is doing something beautiful in you. In Romans 5:3-4, the Apostle Paul writes, "We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope." This is the beautiful cycle that happens in the refining fire. As you endure the struggles, your character is shaped. And as your character is shaped, you are filled with hope. This hope is the anchor that will hold you steady as you continue on your journey. Don't despise the process, chosen one. Don't try to escape it. Embrace it. Trust that God is doing something powerful in you. The fire is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is your refiner. It is the very thing that will equip you for the future God has planned for you. As you come through the fire, you will begin to see the fruit of your resilience. You will begin to see how the struggles, the pain, and the challenges have shaped you into the person God has called you to be. And as you stand in the fruit of this season, you will know that it was all worth it. You will carry with you a strength and a wisdom that comes only from having walked through the fire. You will be able to minister to others who are going through their own trials. You will be able to share the hope that you have found in God's faithfulness. And most of all, you will be able to walk confidently in the calling He has placed on your life, knowing that you have been refined and made ready for the next season of your destiny. Chosen one, if there's one thing that has likely tested your patience, it's the waiting. The moments where you felt like time was standing still, where you asked, "God, when will this end? When will I see the breakthrough I've been praying for?" The truth is, trusting God's timing is one of the hardest things we have to do as believers. It's easy to trust God when things are moving fast, when we can see progress, when we can count the steps that lead us to where we want to be. But when the pace slows down, when we feel like we're stuck in a waiting room of life, that's when our faith is tested the most. But I want to encourage you right now, chosen one, God's timing is perfect. I know it's hard to see that sometimes, but it's true. He is not late. He has not forgotten you. He is not ignoring your prayers. He is simply working in the unseen, preparing the perfect moment for your breakthrough. The delay you're experiencing is not a denial, it's divine preparation. Let's talk for a moment about the waiting season. How many of us have found ourselves feeling restless, impatient, or discouraged during this time? We've all been there. when we know we're called to something greater but can't seem to get there, when we're waiting for God to open doors that feel firmly shut, or when we're standing still, wondering why we aren't moving forward, it can be hard not to get discouraged. But let me remind you of something powerful. Just because you're waiting doesn't mean nothing is happening. In fact, God is doing some of his most significant work behind the scenes when you can't see it. When he's silent, when it feels like nothing is shifting, he's still moving. He's preparing you, aligning circumstances, and opening the doors at exactly the right time. Think about the story of Joseph. He was given a dream of greatness, but his journey to that destiny was filled with betrayal, imprisonment, and years of waiting. The promise seemed so far away, and in those years of waiting, it probably felt like the dream was never going to come true. But God was at work in ways that Joseph couldn't see. Every setback, every moment of waiting, was preparing him for the moment when he would be elevated to a position of power where he would be able to save his family and an entire nation. Joseph's story is a reminder that just because the journey is long and the wait is hard, it doesn't mean the promise is not coming. It means that God is refining you, preparing you, and aligning things that need to fall into place before you step into the fullness of your destiny. Trust that even in the waiting, God is working. In Psalm 27-14, it says, "Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord." This verse reminds us that while waiting can be challenging, it's also a time to build strength, resilience, and patience. It's a time to trust in God's goodness, knowing that he has a perfect plan for your life. And when the time is right, he will open the door. Your breakthrough is coming. Chosen one. It's important to understand that God doesn't operate on our schedule. We often want things to happen now. We want to be in the place of blessing, in the place of promise, without having to go through the process. But God's timing is not ours. He is never early, but he is never late. He arrives at the perfect time, according to his plan and his purposes. And let me tell you this, his timing is better than anything we could orchestrate. Think about the story of Abraham and Sarah. God promised them a child, but the years went by, and the promise seemed delayed. They got older and older, and it seemed like the promise would never come to pass. And yet, God fulfilled his promise at just the right moment. At a time when it was humanly impossible for them to have children, God made a way. Abraham and Sarah had to wait, but in their waiting, they learned to trust God more deeply. They learned that his promise was sure. Even when circumstances seemed impossible, God didn't forget them. He didn't leave them waiting indefinitely. He was waiting for the right time, the perfect time for his plan to unfold. And when that time came, the miracle was more powerful than they could have imagined. This is what God does. He doesn't just give us what we want when we want it. He gives us what we need at the right time, according to his perfect plan. And while the waiting can feel like a season of uncertainty, it is also a season of preparation. God is preparing you for what's ahead. He's aligning people, circumstances, and opportunities that will make the fulfillment of his promises even more powerful when they come. Waiting is one of the most powerful tools God uses to build your faith. It's in the waiting that we learn to trust him more deeply. It's in the waiting that we learn to rely on his timing, not our own. If we always got what we wanted when we wanted it, we wouldn't have the chance to grow in our faith. We wouldn't have the chance to see God's faithfulness in action. Think about how many times you've prayed for something and it hasn't come to pass yet. You've probably asked, "Why not now, God?" But in that waiting, something is happening in your heart. God is strengthening your trust in him. He is teaching you to hold on to his promises, even when they haven't been fulfilled yet. And when the breakthrough does come, you will see it with fresh eyes. You will know that it was God who made it happen. You will know that it wasn't by your own strength, your own timing, or your own effort. It was by God's grace and perfect timing. In Hebrews 11:1, it says, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." Faith is not about seeing the answer before it arrives. It's about trusting that the answer is coming, even when we can't see it yet. And waiting for that answer, waiting with expectation, is how God builds faith in us. Chosen one. The story of Joseph is one that exemplifies the power of trusting God's timing, especially when everything around us seems uncertain. Joseph's journey was not an easy one. His dreams were big, but they didn't come to pass in the way he imagined. In fact, they seemed to get further and further away with each passing day. After being betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison, it seemed like Joseph's dreams would never be realized. But God was at work in every single moment. Joseph didn't know it, but each setback was preparing him for the promotion that was coming. Each time he was knocked down, God was strengthening him, and while Joseph might have wanted things to happen on his timetable, the truth was, God was preparing him for something far greater than he could have imagined. Joseph was not only waiting for his dreams to come true, he was waiting for the perfect moment when God could use him to save not only his family, but an entire nation. If Joseph had been placed in a position of power too soon, he wouldn't have been ready to lead. He wouldn't have had the wisdom, the maturity, or the resilience required for the task ahead. But because of his years of waiting, his years of trials, Joseph emerged, not only with his dreams fulfilled, but with a purpose far greater than he could have understood in his waiting season. There is so much to learn from Joseph's story. It shows us that our waiting is never wasted. It's part of God's perfect plan, and sometimes, the most important work he does in us happens in the quiet, unseen moments. And while you may feel like your season of waiting is stretching on forever, I want you to trust that it is not without purpose. Every moment you spend waiting, every moment of seeming delay, is a moment that God is using to prepare you for something far greater than you've imagined. Your breakthrough is coming, chosen one, and when it arrives, you'll see that every moment of waiting, every trial you've faced, was worth it. Just like Joseph, you will be ready to walk in the fullness of God's promises when the time is right. Patience is something that doesn't always come naturally to us, is it? We live in a world that thrives on instant gratification. We want answers now. We want blessings now. We want breakthroughs now. But God's process is different. His timeline is not dictated by our impatience or our desires. He has a perfect plan, and he is working everything out according to his perfect timing. In James 5:7-8, we are encouraged, be patient, then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too, be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. This passage teaches us about the nature of patience. Just as the farmer waits for the rain, knowing that the harvest will come in due time, we are called to wait on God's timing, knowing that he is faithful. The farmer doesn't rush the process. He doesn't try to speed up the seasons. He knows that the rains will come in their time, and the harvest will be plentiful. In the same way, God is working in the seasons of your life, preparing the harvest that is to come. You can't rush the process. You can't speed up God's timing, but you can trust that the harvest will come at the right time. Waiting with patience means trusting that God knows what he's doing. It means believing that he has a plan for your life that is greater than anything you could ever imagine. And even in the times of waiting, when it feels like nothing is happening, God is at work. His timing is always perfect, and his purpose is always worth the wait. While we are called to wait, we are also called to act. Waiting doesn't mean sitting idly and doing nothing. There is a tension between waiting and acting. We are not to passively sit back and wait for things to fall into our laps. There are times when we are called to take steps of faith, to move forward, and to trust that God will direct our path. Think about the story of Abraham again. God had promised him that he would be the father of many nations. But for years, Abraham and Sarah waited without seeing the promise fulfilled. At one point, Sarah even took matters into her own hands and suggested that Abraham have a child with her servant, Hagar, since she felt too old to have children. It was a moment of impatience and a lack of trust in God's timing. But God had to remind Abraham that the promise would be fulfilled through Sarah at the perfect time. Abraham's story teaches us that while we wait, we must also take steps of obedience. We don't sit back and do nothing. We trust God, but we also trust that He will direct our actions. Sometimes, waiting means actively preparing for what's to come. It means taking the steps that align with God's will, even when we don't yet see the full picture. We are not called to sit in passivity. We are called to wait with purpose, to wait while trusting that God will guide us when the time is right to act. And then, finally, when the time is right, God opens the door. The waiting is over. The promises you've been holding on to are now a reality. It won't be in your timing. It won't be when you want it to be, but it will be at exactly the right moment when you are ready, when the circumstances are aligned, when God has prepared you to step into the fullness of your calling. When Joseph was elevated to power in Egypt, it wasn't just because of his dreams, it was because of his character, his patience, and his obedience to God's timing. His waiting season had forged him into the leader he needed to be, and when the moment arrived, he was ready to walk into his destiny. God's timing is not just about when you get what you've been praying for. It's about when you are ready to handle it, when you've been shaped and refined to carry the blessing with wisdom and grace. His timing is perfect, and when He opens the door, you will be ready to walk through it. Chosen one, it's time. I know you've been waiting, watching, and hoping for your breakthrough. You've spent seasons in the waiting room, trusted God's timing, and allowed Him to refine you. But now, something has shifted. Heaven is calling you to take action. It's time to move, to step out in faith, and to claim what God has already promised you. The breakthrough you've been waiting for is closer than you think, but it's not going to come by sitting still. It's time to rise, take hold of your destiny, and act on the divine call that has been placed on your life. Chosen one, I know there may be fear, hesitation, or uncertainty inside you right now. I know it's hard to step out into the unknown, to take action when you don't yet see the full picture. But let me remind you of something incredibly important. Obedience is the key that unlocks your breakthrough. God is calling you to act, not out of pressure, but out of purpose. You see, God's promises are not just for us to admire from a distance, they are meant to be walked into. They are meant to be experienced, and that requires us to step out in obedience, to move when He says move, to act when He says act. There is power in obedience. Every time you say yes to God's call, even when it feels uncomfortable or unclear, you are opening the door to divine breakthrough. Your obedience is warfare. It's spiritual resistance against the enemy's distractions, lies, and fear. It's an act of trust that declares you believe in God's promises, no matter what your circumstances look like. Think about the story of Peter walking on water. He saw Jesus walking toward him on the water, and Jesus called him to come. Peter didn't hesitate. He stepped out of the boat and walked toward Jesus. The water didn't hold him up because of Peter's ability to walk on it. It held him up because of his obedience to Christ's command. Peter's obedience activated a supernatural breakthrough. As long as he kept his eyes on Jesus and walked in obedience, he defied the laws of nature. But when he took his eyes off Jesus and focused on the storm, he began to sink. This teaches us a vital lesson. Obedience opens the door for God to do what only He can do. When we step out in faith, with our eyes on Him, the impossible becomes possible. I understand that hesitation can be powerful. The fear of failure, the uncertainty of what lies ahead, these things can hold us back and keep us stuck in the waiting room longer than we need to be. But here's the truth, chosen one. Hesitation is the enemy of breakthrough. The enemy wants you to hesitate. He wants you to overthink, to second guess, and to paralyze you with fear. He knows that if he can keep you in a place of doubt, you will never step into the fullness of what God has for you. Hesitation, if allowed to linger, becomes a stronghold that traps you in your current season, preventing you from moving forward. But God is calling you to act now. He is not asking you to have all the answers. He is not asking you to understand the full picture. He is simply asking for your obedience. And when you act in obedience, even in the face of fear or uncertainty, you align yourself with God's perfect plan. I want you to think about the Israelites when they were crossing the Red Sea. God didn't part the waters before they moved. The waters parted when they moved. They had to step into the water first before they could see the miracle. They had to act on God's command before they could experience His deliverance. This is the faith that moves mountains, the faith that steps forward even when the path ahead seems unclear. You are being called to take action, chosen one. Not because you have all the answers, but because God is faithful to lead you. When you take that first step in obedience, the waters will part before you. The way will be made clear, and your breakthrough will begin to unfold in ways you never imagined. If you've been struggling with hesitation, I want to share a few practical steps to help you break free from fear and step into action. These are tools that will empower you to move forward in faith. The first step is to be sure that the call you feel is from God. When God calls you to action, He makes His voice clear. His call may not always be loud, but it will always be unmistakable. You will feel it deep in your spirit. Take time to listen, to discern, and to confirm that what you are hearing is from Him. God is not calling you to stay in your comfort zone. He is calling you to move beyond it, to trust Him even when the next step feels risky or uncomfortable. Choose obedience, even if it means stepping out into the unknown. It's in the unknown that God does His most powerful work. Fear will always try to hold you back, but you have the power to overcome it. Remember, fear is a lie that tries to convince you that you're not equipped or ready. But God has already equipped you for what He is calling you to do. Trust that His power is greater than your fear. Often, the hardest part is taking that first step. But once you take it, momentum begins to build. God's grace will carry you through. The moment you move in obedience, you will begin to see doors open, opportunities arise, and divine alignment take place. As you move forward, keep your eyes fixed on God, just like Peter did when he walked on water. Don't let the distractions, the storms, or the uncertainties cause you to lose focus. Keep your trust firmly in Him, knowing that He is faithful to guide you. Chosen one, obedience is not just an action, it is spiritual warfare. Every time you choose to obey God, you are taking a stand against the enemy's plans. The enemy knows that he cannot stop God's promises from reaching you. So instead, he tries to distract you, to keep you stuck in fear, doubt, and indecision. But when you act in obedience, you are declaring war against those distractions. You are asserting that no matter what the enemy throws your way, you will remain faithful to God's call on your life. In 2 Corinthians 10-4, Paul reminds us that the weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. Your act of obedience is a weapon that has divine power. When you act in alignment with God's will, you are tearing down the strongholds that the enemy has built around your life. You are declaring that your mind, your heart, and your actions are fully surrendered to God, and nothing can hold you back. Obedience may seem small in the natural realm, but in the spiritual realm, it's a declaration of authority. It's saying, I will not be deterred. I will not be distracted. I will not be deceived. I am walking in God's purpose for my life. Every time you take a step forward in faith, every time you choose to obey, you are breaking down the walls of fear and doubt that have kept you bound. One of the greatest weapons you have in this spiritual warfare is prayer. Prayer is not just a way to ask God for what you need. It is a way to declare God's power over your life, to break chains, and to align yourself with His divine will. Prayer is how you claim victory in the spiritual realm before it is manifested in the natural. In Ephesians 6:18, Paul urges us to pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests. When you pray with faith, when you pray in obedience, you are actively engaging in spiritual warfare. You are declaring that God's will be done, and you are positioning yourself to receive the breakthrough He has promised. Chosen one, do not underestimate the power of prayer. Your prayers are not just words that float into the air, they are powerful declarations that shift the atmosphere. When you pray, you are partnering with God in His work on earth. You are calling down His power to break strongholds, to heal brokenness, and to align your life with His divine purpose. Take time each day to pray, to declare victory, to claim God's promises over your life. Prayer is how you stay connected to your source of strength and power, and it's how you prepare yourself for the breakthroughs that are coming. Another powerful tool in your spiritual arsenal is the power of your words. The Bible says that death and life are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:21. What you speak over your life matters. Every word you speak is either building up your faith or tearing it down. You have the power to speak life into your circumstances, to speak God's truth over your future, and to declare His promises over your present situation. In Matthew 17:20, Jesus said, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move." Nothing will be impossible for you. Your words, when spoken in faith, are powerful enough to move mountains. Speak life over your dreams, your calling, and your future. Declare the promises of God over every area of your life. Speak to the mountains in your life and command them to move. The enemy wants you to stay silent, to keep your doubts and fears inside. But God is calling you to speak, to declare His truth, and to watch as He moves in response to your faith-filled words. The environment around you is crucial to your spiritual growth and breakthrough. The people you surround yourself with, the things you watch, the music you listen to, all of these things affect your ability to hear from God and walk in obedience. If you want to walk in divine alignment, you must guard your atmosphere. In Philippians 4-8, Paul encourages us to focus on things that are pure, lovely, admirable, and praiseworthy. When you surround yourself with negativity, doubt, and fear, it's harder to hear God's voice and stay aligned with His will. But when you fill your environment with faith, positivity, and truth, you create an atmosphere where the Spirit of God can move freely. Guard your heart, chosen one. Be mindful of the voices you listen to and the things you allow into your mind and spirit. Seek out people who will encourage you, challenge you, and speak life into your situation. Find sources of inspiration, books, podcasts, sermons that will lift you up and keep your faith strong. The more you guard your atmosphere, the more you position yourself to receive God's guidance and breakthrough. Fasting is another spiritual tool that is vital to your breakthrough. When you fast, you are setting aside your natural desires in order to focus on the things of the Spirit. Fasting helps you draw closer to God, hear His voice more clearly, and break free from the distractions of the world. It is a powerful way to realign your heart and mind with God's will, and to see clarity in the direction He is calling you to. In Matthew 17:21, Jesus said, "But this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting." There are some breakthroughs that require prayer and fasting. Fasting humbles our flesh and strengthens our spirit. It helps us to focus on God and His will, and it prepares us for the breakthroughs that are about to come. If you feel like you're struggling to hear from God, if you feel like the enemy is attacking from all sides, consider fasting as a way to break through. As you fast, focus on prayer and seeking God's guidance. Ask Him for clarity, for strength, and for the breakthrough you've been praying for. God honors your sacrifice and will reward your obedience. Thank you so much for joining us on this divine journey today. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We want to keep spreading these life-changing insights to those who need it the most. Your support helps us reach more people, and together, we can create a wave of transformation that will ripple across the world. If you're ready to embrace the transformation that's unfolding in your life, let us know in the comments below. Remember, your breakthrough is coming, and we're here to walk with you every step of the way. Stay aligned, stay faith-filled, and see you in the next video.